Yo, what's up? This week I have a massive offer for you. Stay tuned, and in this video I will tell you how you can get this 20-ounce mug for free. This beautiful mug sends a message to all those around you that you're focusing on your Spanish today. Solo hablame en Español. Over the last 2 weeks, I have shown you that there are at least two cartels fighting it out over which Spanish study method they think is best. I've been honest with you about what each method promises. These cartels think their method is better than the other. One side believes that the best Spanish language method is deliberate practice. The other side believes that the best Spanish language method is comprehensible input. Well, I might be the new guy on the street, and I may not like to show my face, but I know a thing or two about method. Di mi nombre. So this week, I drove my RV out into the desierto. I got away from all distractions and prying eyes, and using some mad brain chemistry skills, I extracted the best parts of both the comprehensible input method and the deliberate practice method, and I've come up with a method that is true blue. The two study method cartels on the street today that we've examined are comprehensible input. You've heard about this method when you watched my video entitled Spanish Straight into Your Brain. If you haven't watched it, you need to watch it today. The second method is called deliberate practice. This method was featured in my video entitled The Hardest Study Method Ever. This is another must-watch if you missed it. Each of these two study method cartels claim they own the Spanish language study users. Each claims to be the best. I've told you that the cartel that promotes comprehensible input promises a no grammar and no drills method. They insist that you can become fluent in a language by receiving input that is both comprehensible, meaning you can understand it, and compelling, meaning it must be fascinatingly interesting. Their method says you shouldn't try to learn a language, but rather you should try to acquire a language by exposure to it. Their formula is I+1, meaning that you add knowledge, stuff that's new to you, to the knowledge that you already know. Their formula is so simple, any language student can understand it. I've put the recipe out there for you to consider, but I didn't stop there. I exposed the other study method called deliberate practice, and I demonstrated the science behind it, where you can discover what type of learner you are. I mean, we all come from different walks of life, and our own chemistry determines whether we learn best by visual, audible, or physical methods. I've showed you how deliberate practice requires you identify your own personal Spanish language weaknesses. And with the aid of a tutor or teacher or native language expert, you develop a plan to work on those weaknesses over and over and over again through deliberate practice, which will be demanding and unforgiving and not a lot of fun. Because you go back to that expert or tutor or teacher and receive honest feedback about whether or not you've mastered that weak area. When your feedback says you failed, you have to go back and practice again. So I've put their recipe out there for you to consider. Now you know what the other guys have to offer. But this is where my mad method skills and brain chemistry takes over. I'm going to trash the chili pea useless parts and keep the best parts of both methods and blend them together with a twist of some practical brain chemistry and come up with a method that is true blue. And I'm going to call it comprehensible practice, and it only has 8 really clean, easy to follow components. I have trashed a third of the silly chili pea look at me stuff you don't need. First, go with your learner type. We all learn differently. Find out how you learn best by taking the test I've provided in the description below. incorporate the suggestions provided in the test results into your study habits. Second, chill out with the grammar already. You're an adult. You understand the importance of grammar, I get it. But you've also forgotten how you learned that grammar. It was a natural process that came through reading, listening, getting quick corrections from more experienced speakers of the language. Hi, Mom. And by the constant use of the language. You acquired grammar over time on an as-needed basis. You'll contaminate this method by fixating on grammar, and your Spanish will end up all cloudy. In the end, you'll end up tossing it out and trying again. So please relax. Be stress-free with the grammar. Correct as needed, but don't go hunting after it quite yet. Third, when you drill on vocabulary or on verb conjunctions, make it enjoyable. Don't do it until you're numb, but do it until you get what the Spanish dude calls the Spanish high.
Number 3, it'll get you high. It's called the Spanish high. Next time you're not feeling great, maybe you just have low energy, are in a bad mood, or your day just didn't start off as productive as you would have liked. You can get the Spanish high within minutes by using the flashcard strategy to memorize Spanish words.
The link to that is also in the description below. Fourth, plan to win this thing. The Spanish language is yours to own. See yourself as conversationally fluent one day. It won't happen in a month or in 3 months. But don't give up. Plan to win. Fifth, get out there and get some exposure already. Regardless of what study system you are using, at home in front of a computer, in a class with other students, on Zoom with a tutor, you have to also get some Spanish into your eyes and ears from other native Spanish speakers. Read Spanish. Listen to Spanish. Watch shows in Spanish. It may be confusing at first, but I promise you, you'll develop your Spanish ear and you'll discover new words. Words are king. And one day you'll realize it is helping. 6, stop being a student and be a sponge. Let your mind absorb the language instead of forcing it into your brain. Paul, with the Spanish with Paul course, warns about overstudying and the need to let the language soak in. Link to his course is below too, and it is a must. Which brings me to the 7th. Find material that is motivating. A single study system that motivates you to keep going. Material that adds to what you have acquired and makes you excited to acquire mucho más Español. And last but not least, practice using things that are fascinating to you. What color is the owl and where is the library isn't compelling to anyone. Practice what you'll use. Practice real-life Spanish. Make it compelling. Now, anyone can follow a recipe, but let me give you 3 secrets to succeed that you must know to make my true blue method work. It starts with motivation. This important character trait can be acquired by ensuring the following elements are in it. The main driver of motivation is goals. So what's your goal for learning Spanish? If you use my complete Spanish language learning journal, you've documented your goals. If you don't have this book, check the description below for a link to where to get it. I've said this before. Your method and your reasons for learning Spanish must match your goals. Motivation also includes challenge. You must find something about Spanish that challenges you, whether it's the goal that you set or whether it's the material that you're studying. In order to be motivated, you have to find that thing that challenges you. Motivation also includes clarity. My method requires that the goals that drive your motivation be crystal clear, like glass. For you to be truly motivated, you need autonomy. If studying Spanish is not your own choice, don't worry about it. You'll probably never be conversationally fluent. Studies have shown that students forced to study a second language during their primary and secondary education are rarely conversationally fluent after 12 years. A highly motivated, positive attitude to learning Spanish comes from your own personal autonomy. Finally, a key element in motivation is friends, people who support you in your endeavor. They may be a family member, a neighbor, a best friend, or a group of like-minded people like the group in the Daily Language Learning Facebook group. Link to our group is in the description. Having a group of encouraging friends can keep you motivated to learn Spanish. The next key element is time. If you want to learn Spanish, you need to put time into it. The key elements of language learning time may surprise you. Unlike other street methods, which say you need to spend about 10,000 hours before you are proficient in a language or anything else they say, my True Blue method says let your goals be a primary element of how much time you devote. If your goal is to become a diplomat in a Spanish-speaking country, you're going to need to devote a lot of time to Spanish. But if your goal is to be conversationally fluent, to be able to talk to native speakers in their language about practically anything and learn more words as you do, then you'll be happy to know that you can do that with a lot less time each day than the budding diplomat. To lean out the amount of time you spend, use the 80-20 rule, also known as the Pareto principle. If you're not familiar with the 80-20 rule, just know that it means basically that you can learn 80% of the Spanish that will help you reach your goal in about 20% of the time expected. 80% is much more than passing. It's progressing. With 80% of the Spanish you need to know, you'll quickly pick up the rest with more exposure to the language. Time is slipping away, though. You need to schedule your time. Without a basic schedule for studying Spanish, time will slip out of your hand like paying money to a criminal lawyer. I'm not saying you need to get so detailed as to say between 9 a.m. and 11 a.m. I will study Spanish, or maybe that is what you need to say. I'm saying start by determining how many days a week you'll study. I don't recommend that you study every day of the week, but I do recommend exposure every day of the week. After you determine how many days a week you'll study, then you can set your hours. Wait, somebody watching this right now says, I don't have any room in my to-do list for Spanish. Then if you want to learn Spanish and you don't have any room in your to-do list, then I suggest making a not-to-do list and fit in Spanish. My method can help you schedule Spanish by tracking your efforts. If you don't know where to fit Spanish into your current schedule, do this. Track your activities for 7 days. Then at the end of 7 days, honestly review your activities for areas that you can trim away or not to do and place Spanish there. Then use the daily learning journal to track both your time and your motivation in your daily Spanish studies. The final center element to the Spanish study element of time is frequent breaks. Give yourself a break. Take some time off. Go ride a go-kart or something. Don't be worried to take a day or two off. If you've been studying Spanish for months or years and take a few weeks off, don't worry. You're not going to lose everything. Frequent breaks can give your mind a chance to absorb or acquire the material you've exposed yourself to, which leads us to the key element of exposure to Spanish. This element requires you watch compelling things in Spanish, listen to spoken Spanish by a variety of speakers, and that you read compelling things in Spanish. Doing these things will expose you to vocabulary, which is king in becoming fluent, and requires both of the previous elements of time and motivation. Don't neglect this key element to ensure that you're following my True Blue method. As you do, don't forget to remove the contaminants that can ruin the batch. Swat away distractions when you study. Mute your Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, and all the other social media notifications that may pull you away. These flies in the batter can ruin the time that you're devoting to study Spanish, drain your motivation, and work like sunscreen to your exposure to Spanish. So swat them away. And don't forget to turn off that second cell phone. Let everything go to voicemail, unless it's an emergency, por supuesto. The contaminant of fear can silence you. So be the blowfish. Don't be afraid to speak. Don't be afraid to make a mistake or a lot of mistakes. Don't let anything or anyone hold you back. Repeat after me. I'm a blowfish. Follow your recipe. You know what's working for you and what is not. Don't tweak your recipe just because someone else suggests you do. Follow your recipe for success. And believe me, 96% is amazing. Don't chase after the elusive 100% perfection. Don't believe the myth that if your Spanish is not 100% correct, it's 100% wrong. Don't believe that myth. Don't chase after that. If you do, you'll waste your time, lose your motivation, and negate your exposure. The future for those who do not follow this method will be years of trying and not succeeding. But hey, the future is not what it used to be. It doesn't have to end bad. Stick with this true blue method, and you won't have to throw away your pizza. So enjoy the journey. The process of learning a new language should be exciting, fun, and make you feel like you're floating in the air. I push this thing about tracking your efforts because by documenting your study days, you'll be able to see your progress over time. Right now, many of you have forgotten how bad you were at Spanish 6 months ago. You've come a long way, but if you don't track your efforts, you won't easily see that progress. If you keep Spanish compelling and interesting, you'll succeed because it will pull you in and you'll absorb it like a sponge. So I want to thank all these wonderful people for subscribing to my channel. They're qualified to win the large 20-ounce mug that I'm giving away. You can qualify too, but you need to subscribe to this channel and like this video. So to qualify for this mug, smash the like button if you haven't already, and smash that subscribe button, and suggest a topic for a future video in a comment below. All current subscribers qualify, as do new subscribers. The winning comment will be from a subscriber who's left a comment, and I'll announce the winner on Saturday, June 13th, 2020, in a video on this channel. So before I bounce, send me your questions to dailylanguagejournal@gmail.com. Visit my website at dailylearningjournal.com where you can find out about my complete Spanish language learning journal. Before you bounce, smash the like and subscribe buttons for me. Seriously, they help motivate me to continue providing this content. Thanks for watching. I'm going to get into the old RV and head back to civilization. While I do that, watch these videos, and I'll see you again here next week. Hasta luego.